Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Just as Ronnie is about to give Drew the mansion, Tracy finds Monica's will. Drew and Nina get together at the Metro Court to talk about Willow. Drew tells the police that he is going to save Willow by telling them that Michael shot him when he sees Michael walk in. Nina says nobody will buy this newly restored memory, and that this plan will backfire, leaving Willow to rot in prison. Despite Nina's assertion that she is tired of his savior complex, he cautions her that she should begin expressing gratitude to him if she wishes to return to Willow's life. What does Michael get advice not to do from Sonny? When Michael goes to see his dad, he tells him that Willow's new attorney, Alexis, is going to try to blame Drew for the shooting. Alexis will use everything Willow has gone through to her advantage, Sonny warns him. Sonny points out that if Alexis puts Michael on the stand and that irate tone comes out of his mouth, people will believe he could have shot Drew. Michael becomes irate and rants about everyone being sympathetic to his ex. Drew walks over to Michael and Sonny and gloats that he's about to sign the papers with Ronnie, making the Courtroom estate all his. Sonny is pleased with his son for not allowing Drew to bait him as he leaves them. Michael claims that it will be much more difficult to refrain from speaking at the estate's formal transfer. Later, after Michael and Drew have left, Nina flags down Sonny, as there may be a way they can protect them, both Michael and Willow. Nina claims that Drew could have been shot by a third person, a person nobody even knows about. Joey, who are you? At Bobby's, Emma tells Gio that it's time to expose Dalton and his unethical practices. She thinks she needs to go by herself to his office this afternoon because she might need to flirt with him and doesn't want Gio racing to save her if Dalton gets creepy. He advises her to text him to remain safe. She kisses him on the cheek before she leaves. Ronnie walks in, sees Jack at the counter, and says, "Joey?" He says his name is not Joey, and she apologizes, thinking he was someone she used to know. He introduces himself and suggests that they might have known each other in a previous life. Jack introduces Ronnie to Carly when she comes out. Carly says she's heard about her from her son, Michael, who she's kicking out of his house to sell it to Drew. Carly warns Ronnie that the Courtooms won't allow her to move on and that he won't get involved in this. Ronnie just wants to leave this house and this one. Ronnie approaches the counter, and Gio asks if he just heard right and if she is really selling the estate. Gio begs her to reconsider her claim that he is because the QS are good people, including Tracy. He tells her that Monica and that house deserve better, so he wants to stop the sale. Jack and Carly, on the other hand, settle down, and Carly regrets that Michael is going through yet another loss. She continues to fake leaning on Jack and stringing him along, making him believe how much he means to her. Tracy, of all people, receives assistance from Lucy. She wishes Tracy good morning and happy Halloween at Lulu's. Lucy stops by, looks at all the boxes, and suggests someone needs help with an estate sale. Lucy tries to convince Tracy to buy a new house as Lulu leaves. In the end, they discuss Lucy's relationship with Alan once more, and Lucy admits that she also misses Alan, Lila, and Edward. Lucy tells Tracy she can't keep living in her grief and trying to face all this, motioning around to the boxes, on her own. These boxes are the only evidence that Lucy loved her parents and Alan, as Tracy is aware. Lucy tells her in the end that a house is just a house, and her memories live in her heart. Lucy begins looking through a few of the boxes, and they reminisce about the past. Martin confesses, but not in the way we want to hear it. Martin stops by Laura's office to make a confession. He explains that Drew, who is working with Sidwell to pass the Measure C initiative, lured him back to work. Why would he work for Drew again? Laura inquires. Drew is the worst, Martin admits, but Martin doesn't have to like his clients. Laura understands and just wants this Measure C nightmare to be over. Lulu stops by for some motherly advice just as Martin heads out. Lulu fills her mom in on Rocco's dinner date with Britt and company, and that Charlotte helped him keep it from her. Lulu despises the fact that her children are uncomfortable being honest with her and are acting in a cautious manner around her. Laura suggests that Lulu invite Britt and Valentine to meet with her and the kids so that they can see that she's okay with it, that no secrets are being kept, and that the kids won't have to keep things from her. Lulu doesn't like being the bigger person, but she thinks her mom is right. Later, when Lulu goes to Bobby's, she meets Carly and Jack. Jack informs Lulu that he may want to discuss Charlotte-related information with her. Can Michael get through to Ronnie? Ronnie is met by Michael when he goes to the mansion. He explains he just came to say goodbye to the house. He makes one last effort to change Ronnie's mind about the sale, and suspects something more is going on. Ronnie cries out that there's something else going on, but she's in so much trouble that she can't sell Drew. Before Ronnie can tell Michael anything else, Martin and Drew arrive at the mansion. Drew claims that Michael's decision to build his life in the same residence he shared with Willow and their children must kill him. Don't make it worse for Michael by telling Drew that Ronnie is getting what he wants. Ronnie is asked by Michael whether she really wants to do this. You're fired. Well, kind of. Sidwell and Britt enter Dalton's office and inform him that he will be replaced. Due to his failure to make progress, Dalton will be working under Britt, who is highly motivated to complete this task. He also hopes that they will successfully conclude this project quickly. Dalton and Britt are left to talk by Sidwell. Dalton immediately suggests they work together and not include Sidwell in their plans. Towards the end of the show, Jack tells Lulu at Bobby's that Valentine wants to see Charlotte once more. Jack inquires if Lulu would react differently if Valentine were a local, since she refuses to fly her daughter across the globe and participate in his spy games. In his office, Dalton tells Britt that this project could be worth a lot of money to the right people, and it's not fair that Sidwell pockets the money for their hard work. He suggests they take it to a third party. When Emma walks in at that point, she asks, "Britt? What are you doing in the office of Professor Dalton?" Sidwell visits Laura in her office and suggests that they collaborate to save Port Charles. At the Metro Court, Nina tells Sonny that Drew was blackmailing Portia. She doesn't know what with, but Portia was desperate to get out from under Drew, which is why she helped her frame Drew with the ketamine and Jacinda. Because Portia is her friend, she cannot use this information, but he can. At the Courtroom mansion, Michael watches as Drew and Ronnie sit down to sign the papers. Tracy picks through the boxes at Lulu's house, ignoring the one containing the will on a regular basis. Ronnie hesitates as Drew hands over the papers after signing them. In the final seconds, Tracy looks into the right box and is stunned to find Monica's will. The storm over Port Charles was nothing compared to the chaos brewing inside the Courtroom mansion, where decades of power, loss, and legacy collided in a single, fateful afternoon. As the rain poured down, Ronnie sat at the grand oak table, pen in trembling hand, moments away from signing over the iconic Courtroom estate to Drew Kane, a man whose ambition had driven a wedge between every heart in town. What she didn't know was that upstairs, surrounded by dusty boxes of family memories, Tracy Courtroom was about to uncover the one document that could stop Drew's scheme in its tracks, Monica's will. Earlier that morning, the tension began brewing at the Metro Court. Drew had summoned Nina Reeves for what he called a friendly discussion about Willow, but the glint in his eye betrayed his true intent. As they sat across from one another in the elegant restaurant, the air between them was thick with accusation and bitterness. Drew confessed his latest plan. He intended to tell the police that it was Michael who shot him, a self-sacrificial lie he believed would somehow save Willow's future. Nina's eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't be serious," she snapped. "Nobody's going to buy that you suddenly remembered your shooter after months of silence." "It'll backfire, Drew. And when it does, Willow will rot in prison while you're busy playing the hero." Drew's expression hardened, a flash of arrogance cutting through his wounded pride. "You don't get it," he countered. "If you really want back into Willow's life, maybe you should start showing some gratitude instead of criticism." The words hit Nina like a slap. Drew's savior complex had gone too far, and she could only watch helplessly as he marched toward his own destruction. Meanwhile, at another corner of the Metro Court, Sonny Corinthos was having his own heated conversation with his son. Michael had come seeking advice, and Sonny, with his trademark calm and gravitas, didn't hold back. "Listen to me," Sonny warned, voice low and measured. "Alexis is Willow's new attorney. She's going to use everything that girl's been through to her advantage. You, angry, defensive, you're the perfect target. Don't give her anything she can use. Michael clenched his jaw, his frustration spilling over. Everyone's bending over backward for Willow, he snapped. She lied, she hid things, and now everyone's treating her like a saint. Sonny's dark eyes narrowed. You talk like that on the stand, and Alexis will make sure everyone believes you pulled that trigger. Don't give her that power. Before Michael could reply, Drew appeared, smug, self-satisfied, and ready to gloat. You two might want to get used to calling me your new landlord, he said smoothly. Ronnie and I are signing the papers today. The Courtroom estate is about to be all mine. Sonny placed a calming hand on his son's shoulder, whispering, don't take the bait. But as Drew sauntered off, Michael could feel the fury rising in his chest. He vowed silently that the signing would not go unchallenged. Back at the Metro Court bar, Nina approached Sonny once more, her voice trembling with urgency. There may be a way to protect both Michael and Willow, she said, lowering her voice. There's a third suspect, someone nobody's even considering. Sonny turned toward her, intrigued. Nina's tone was grave. Drew's not as innocent as he pretends. And neither is Portia. Across town at Bobby's diner, a different drama was unfolding. Emma Scorpio Drake sat with Gio, discussing their latest mission, to expose Professor Dalton's shady dealings. I'm going to confront him this afternoon, Emma said with quiet determination. And I need to go alone. Gio protested, but she silenced him with a kiss on the cheek, a mix of courage and affection in her eyes. As she left, Ronnie entered, spotting a man at the counter. Joey, she gasped. The man, Jack, looked up in confusion. Sorry, name's Jack, he replied with a charming grin. Maybe we knew each other in another life? Their exchange was brief, awkward, and strangely electric. Moments later, Carly Corinthos appeared, her poise masking a web of manipulation. Jack introduced Ronnie to her, and Carly wasted no time making her feelings known. I've heard about you, Carly said coolly. You're selling Michael's house to Drew. Ronnie tried to deflect, insisting she just wanted to move on. But Carly's tone was sharp. The Courtooms don't let go easily, she warned. Ronnie excused herself, shaken, and when she turned, Gio was staring at her in disbelief. You're selling the mansion? He asked. When she nodded, he pleaded, please, don't do this. The QS are good people, even Tracy. Monica deserves better than to have her home sold to a man like Drew. Ronnie hesitated, her eyes glistening with guilt. But before she could reply, Jack and Carly resumed their own charade, with Carly pretending to lean on Jack emotionally, stringing him along as part of her grander game. Across town, Tracy Courtoom was knee-deep in boxes at Lulu's house. The day had begun with Lucy Coe bursting through the door, her bubbly energy filling the room. Happy Halloween, she declared. Seeing the piles of boxes, she gasped. Are we having an estate sale, or are you moving to the attic? Tracy rolled her eyes, muttering about clutter and sentimentality. But Lucy's persistence eventually wore her down. As they reminisced about Alan, Lila, and Edward, Lucy placed a comforting hand on Tracy's arm. You can't live in grief forever, she said gently. A house is just a house, Tracy. Your memories, they live here. She touched her heart. Tracy softened, even allowing a small smile, but her hands trembled as she sorted through the boxes that contained her family's legacy. Neither woman noticed the faded envelope marked Monica's while sitting quietly in the corner, waiting to be discovered. Meanwhile, in City Hall, Martin Gray was making a confession to Laura Collins, but not the one she wanted to hear. I got pulled back in, he admitted. Drew's working with Sidwell on Measure C. Laura frowned. Why go back to him? After everything? Martin sighed. I don't have to like him to cash his checks. Their conversation ended with mutual frustration, and as Martin left, Lulu entered, seeking her mother's advice about her children. The two shared a rare moment of honesty, Laura urging her daughter to take the high road, to stop fighting battles she didn't need to fight. Lulu reluctantly agreed, knowing she had no choice but to face her fractured family head-on. Later that day, Michael arrived at the Courtroom mansion, where he found Ronnie staring out the window, visibly shaken. "I came to say goodbye," Michael said quietly. "To the house, and maybe to you." Ronnie turned, eyes wet. "You don't understand, Michael," she whispered. "I'm in too deep. I can't stop this now." Michael took a step closer. "You always have a choice." Before she could answer, Drew and Martin entered, both carrying an air of arrogance. Drew smirked. "You staying for the show? Watch me take over the house you grew up in." Michael didn't respond, but his jaw tightened. Ronnie shouted at Drew, "You got what you wanted. Stop rubbing it in." Her voice cracked with regret. Michael looked at her one last time. "Do you really want to do this?" he asked softly. Ronnie didn't answer, she couldn't. Elsewhere in town, power plays continued. Sidwell arrived at Dalton's office with Britt Westbourne, announcing that Dalton was being reassigned. "You'll be working under Dr. Westbourne now," Sidwell said coldly. "Let's hope she can do what you couldn't." When Sidwell left, Dalton smirked. "We don't have to play his game. We can make our own." Britt hesitated, intrigued by his dangerous charm. Just then, Emma entered the office, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Britt?" she gasped. "What are you doing here, with him?" At Bobby's, Jack was meeting with Lulu, hinting that Valentine Cassadine wanted more time with Charlotte. Lulu bristled, insisting she wouldn't let her daughter be dragged into his world again. But Jack's next words made her blood run cold. "Would you feel differently if Valentine was back in Port Charles, permanently?" Meanwhile, Nina was whispering dangerous truths to Sonny at the Metro court. Drew was blackmailing Portia, she confessed. That's why she helped frame him with the ketamine and Jacinda mess. "I can't say anything, it would ruin Portia, but you can." Sonny leaned back, processing every word. "Then maybe it's time someone played Drew at his own game," he murmured. Back at the mansion, the moment of truth had arrived. Drew signed the documents, a satisfied smile spreading across his face as he slid them toward Ronnie. "Your turn," he said smugly. Ronnie's hand shook as she held the pen, her conscience tearing her apart. Michael stood by silently, watching the woman who once fought for justice now surrender to guilt. Upstairs, in the quiet of Lulu's attic, Tracy lifted the final box, the one she had overlooked all day. Inside, nestled among faded photographs and old jewelry, was a sealed envelope labeled Monica's will. Her breath caught. She tore it open, her eyes scanning the words that changed everything. The will clearly stated that the Courtroom estate could never be sold outside the family, it was to remain with Monica's descendants in perpetuity. Tracy's heart pounded. She grabbed her phone, but before she could dial, thunder crashed outside. Downstairs, Ronnie exhaled shakily, about to sign. "Just one more signature," Drew said. At that exact moment, the mansion's heavy front doors flew open. A gust of wind swept through as Tracy's voice echoed from the hall, "Don't sign that paper." Everyone froze. Ronnie looked up, startled. "Tracy?" she stammered. Tracy stepped into the room, Monica's will clutched tightly in her hand. "You might want to read this first," she said, her tone sharp as steel. Drew's smug smile vanished, replaced by disbelief. Michael's eyes widened with relief. Ronnie dropped the pen, tears spilling down her cheeks. In that instant, the ghosts of Alan, Lila, Edward, and Monica herself seemed to fill the room, reminding everyone that some legacies can't be bought or stolen. Ronnie excused herself, shaken, and when she turned, Gio was staring at her in disbelief. "You're selling the mansion?" he asked. When she nodded, he pleaded, "Please, don't do this. The QS are good people, even Tracy. Monica deserves better than to have her home sold to a man like Drew." Ronnie hesitated, her eyes glistening with guilt. But before she could reply, Jack and Carly resumed their own charade, with Carly pretending to lean on Jack emotionally, stringing him along as part of her grander game. Across town, Tracy Courtermain was knee-deep in boxes at Lulu's house. The day had begun with Lucy Coe bursting through the door, her bubbly energy filling the room. "Happy Halloween," she declared. Seeing the piles of boxes, she gasped. Are we having an estate sale, or are you moving to the attic? Tracy rolled her eyes, muttering about clutter and sentimentality. But Lucy's persistence eventually wore her down. As they reminisced about Alan, Lila, and Edward, Lucy placed a comforting hand on Tracy's arm. You can't live in grief forever, she said gently. A house is just a house, Tracy. Your memories, they live here. She touched her heart. Tracy softened, even allowing a small smile, but her hands trembled as she sorted through the boxes that contained her family's legacy. Neither woman noticed the faded envelope marked Monica's while sitting quietly in the corner, waiting to be discovered.